Good evening, Red Star Rebels. It's March 5th, 2024. This is podcast season 4, episode number 1. We are Red Star Report. I'm Hal Lohr, and this is Voices for the California Nation.
Red Star Report, media group for the California independence movement.
Oh, you would-be petty emperors. Beware the Ides of March, because after 8 months, Red Star Report is back. Sorry for the delay, but as most of you know, Red Star Report was backburnered for a while, so we could pay some dues and put in some broadcasting groundwork at KPFK 90.7 FM Los Angeles. And I'm proud to say that by the end of this month, we'll have been hosting the Friday night edition of KPFK's Rebel Alliance News for about a year. That's almost 60 shows, and I'd like to thank all of our Red Star contributors for their work so far to accomplish this, and congratulate everyone for helping to put so many of us on the air and normalize our hashtag NewCalExit voices in the massive SoCal media market. Showing that we, as a movement, can really be the true and honest media voice for California independence and California's issues, and that we, as Red Star Report, can deserve that credibility because we're committed enough to earn it by putting in the work. Building a solid and stable foundation for a broad and far-reaching NewCalExit media group with a voice that will speak for the heart, soul, and mind of the struggle for California's eventual liberation from a socioeconomically collapsing America devolving into fascism. Now it's 2024, and people in this hopelessly divided U.S. government are talking Civil War 2.0 as we witness a global shift away from the California values of diversity, inclusion, equality, eco-justice, and even democracy. We have an election season heating up, and regardless of how that election in November turns out, things will not get better for Californians, and we all know it. So Red Star Report is back, just as Californians need to speak out against the stupid American delusion that believes somehow that America can ever be fixed. Newsflash, it can't. Game over. Because the fact is that win or lose this November, within the margin of error, of course, half the people or more in the USA are at least okay with embracing Christo fascism and American white nationalism. And that's just not going to change no matter what the Democratic Party and America's traditional corporate liberals say or do. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. So maybe, with a little luck, our friends at KPFK will soon recognize our Red Star commitment, credibility, depth, expertise, activist, community reach, and technical capability, and realize it may be time for the California left to allow for some paradigm shift. At Red Star Report, we always say, any activism or movement that tries to fix America but rejects the option of California independence has already accepted failure as a viable option for the people of California. Well, look around. If you can tear yourself away from the Media Outrage of the Month Club and look at what's actually happening in places like Alabama, Florida, Georgia, and Texas, where hard-won civil and human rights that took decades to secure are systematically being torn down in the blink of an eye by just a few MAGA hats with stolen political power from rigged elections. Billions of California tax dollars are diverted by both major American parties to war and genocide, while pennies are grudgingly put aside for California's homeless. A climate change crisis that America's fossil fuel company owners knowingly created, then opted to ignore, and now politically fight to maintain, while every year California burns, and yet they still have the nerve to charge California extra for gas. So yes, Red Star Report is coming back. Rebels, put away your distractions. The time has come to focus on California activism, California values, and California resistance to America's politically blatant hostility. To recognize that Californians can't force Americans to socially, politically, or economically evolve and shouldn't have to suffer through generations of waiting while fighting for incremental changes, particularly when you realize that many of the political issues Californians care about, like immigration, abortion, LGBTQ rights, voting rights, civil rights, human rights, marijuana legalization, climate change, and guns, all never-ending political wars in a divided United States, but wouldn't even be issues in an independent California republic. Che Guevara once said, "Let the world change you, and you can change the world." And there is no doubt that the purest form of California resistance to America's Christo fascist future is the California independence movement. Let that thought change you, and a California nation free of America's stranglehold will change the global paradigm. This is Voices for the California Nation.
When you have these woke revolutions, it requires all of us at some point to say, no, not going to do this. We are living in a country that has no resemblance to the visions of the founding fathers in the first 200 years of our history. We're losing that ability with tribal politics, wokeness, cancel culture. And if Americans don't see themselves as unique citizens of the United States, then you don't have a country. If we don't, then the citizenship that we've known for centuries will die.
For our first Red Star Report offering tonight, Raul Cedillo takes us to speak with Carlos Avalle at a California National Party banner drop in Long Beach this past weekend.
California National Party, currently in Long Beach for a banner drop calling for a ceasefire. I'm here with one of the organizers, Carlos Avalle. Carlos, what brings you out here today?
Well, part of it is just a sense of wanting to do something for the people of Palestine who are being massacred as we speak. And it's not strictly an issue of what the Zionists are doing to Palestinians, but what the Zionists have done throughout the world. And I just want to clarify, anti-Zionism is not anti-Semitism. But the Zionists have been involved in a lot of massacres, a lot of genocide. And the reason I am in the United States, I'm originally from Guatemala, is that in 1977, the Carter administration cut off military aid to Guatemala because Guatemala was massacring entire villages of indigenous people. As soon as the Carter administration stopped sending arms to the Guatemalan military, Israel took over, of course, with the approval of the United States. And so we had Israeli Defense Forces, or Israeli Occupation Forces as we call them now, came over to Guatemala, provided military aid, provided intelligence, and they were free to do whatever they wanted because they didn't have the checks and balances that we still sort of had here about paying attention to human rights. they could care less. Just like what's happening in Palestine as we speak. They are going against any sort of human decency, against what the orders were from the International Court of Justice, and massacring men, women, and children without any regard to justice or fairness or anything else. They call it a war. It's not a war. It's genocide. And so I am here for personal reasons because of the genocide they caused against the indigenous people of Guatemala, which is many times greater than what is happening currently in Gaza. But I am here also for the people of Gaza, the people of Palestine.
Thank you very much for your input, Carlos. We appreciate you as a community advocate.
Thank you, Raul.
Our thanks to Raul Cedillo for that on-site interview. Red Star Report will bring you more on these banner drops as they happen. At this moment, listener-supported KPFK 90.7 FM Los Angeles would like to remind you that we are just that, listener-supported, by people like you that recognize the need for an independent, non-corporate media. So please, go to kpfk.org and donate what you can to help KPFK keep these airwaves free. Or go to our phone lines at 818-985-5735 and make your pledge today. Because radio silence for a Los Angeles icon like KPFK would be a loss for all of us. All right, up next tonight, Shankar Singham returns with Activism in Action to bring us truths about immigration, Gaza protests, and the return of Trump in the November election. Light 'em up, Shankar.
Thank you, Hal. Welcome back, Californios, to another episode of Red Star Reports, Activism in Action. So let's get right into it. There's a lot of topics I want to cover really quickly here because of the time off that we've had at KPFK. That's just was very memorable, and looking forward to this year's episodes, both for the Red Star Report and the KPFK and endeavors. All right, let's get right into it real quick, folks. Right now, hot button topic, immigration, right? So, not a big deal over here in Cali. Of course, we're a sanctuary state. We realize the need for the undocumented coming here. Perfectly well and fine for us right here, because we realize that we understand there's a few other factors involved when undocumented people come here, regardless of the fact whether they have papers or not. There is a net positive migration coming into Cali. We've taken advantage of that. We've grown our economy. Hence, we're the fourth largest economy in the world because we have an infrastructure to back the population up. It's not hard to do. This is very common knowledge as far as economics and civil engineering, right? But right now, the right wing and Trump is using this as a wedge issue for campaigning. It's a campaign year, but this is no surprise. This is nothing new for the right wing conservatives. This has been happening since the beginning of the United States. This has been happening for hundreds and hundreds of years here in the U.S. When there's a new immigration group coming into the U.S., they are the target from right wing conservatives in this country. They just need a bad guy. They need a fall guy. They need someone to blame for their own self-worthlessness. And so they will blame the newest group to Trump. First, it was, of course, blacks who they've never really accepted, right? Even to this day, I would say. Then it was the Irish, of course, and the Chinese, and then the Italians, and then, of course, Cubans, right? And now it's the, Mexicans, right? Latinos from South America, Mexico, Central America. they're the newest group to beat on. You know, it's almost like it's like the welcome wagon for the American right wing. When the new group comes in, is to bag on them and be harsh on them, be racist towards them, as they are the new kid on the block, so to speak, right? If they really wanted to fix immigration, if the United States really wanted to fix immigration, if California really wanted to fix it, I don't think we would ever really. We've grown accustomed to it. But if the United States got serious about it, there's nothing that California could do about it yet, right? If the United States really wanted to fix it, they would put stricter, harsher penalties on the businesses that hire undocumented people. It's as simple as that. But they never will. They never will do that. And the right-wing Republicans will never put restrictions on businesses. If you made a law saying that if you're a business owner and if you're caught having undocumented workers that you hired, first offense, $100,000 fine, 30 days in jail. Second offense, $500,000 fine, 6 months in prison. Third offense, $1 million fine, and you lose your American citizenship. Now, if you pass that law, I guarantee you there will be not one undocumented person lining up at the border. I will guarantee you that we won't have this influx of people, not just coming from South America, Mexico, Central America, but from China, from India, from Uzbekistan, from wherever the hell they're all coming. They're coming from everywhere, folks, here. And they're coming for one reason: make money. And if you just put those restrictions on the businesses who are looking for the cheap labor, if you put those restrictions on the business, I guarantee you, end the immigration problem right away. But they'll never pass that law. They'll never pass that law, and that's why Cali has the best example. That's why we embrace. We want more people to come here. It's just we realize that's how you grow an economy. Okay, that's immigration. Next topic. Here in California, we protest galore, right? Almost every day here we have a protest for Gaza. Everybody's marching on the streets. In fact, today there was one in Newport Beach. There's one happening every weekend, if not every day, here in Cali. There's a protest for Gaza, and I don't know to what effect. They're marching down the street for what? I don't know. They're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong, people. You're affecting zero change. No one. It's as if the people that see you marching don't know what's happening in Gaza. Like they don't know that Israel is slaughtering thousands and thousands of people. They just don't care. It doesn't affect their life. If you're going to protest, if you really want to do something, you need to disrupt. You need to disrupt. The only one effectual group that I've seen about in this Gaza protest situation were a group of Jewish protesters who stopped the 101 freeway at 8 in the morning, which was brilliant. Unfortunately, they did it wrong. They didn't tell anybody. They just did it. And then they had a bunch of motorists, a bunch of police assaulting them off the freeway. Now, if they would have just told police, if they would have just told the city or told the authorities that, hey, we plan on stopping the freeway from this time to this time on this location, guess what? The cops are going to help you out. They're going to help you protest. They're going to help you at your location. They're going to stop traffic. That's how BLM does it. That's how professional organizations do it that have legal backing, of course. So you guys were doing it wrong. You guys were doing it wrong. Really need to step up. If you're really wanting to stop what's happening in Gaza, you really need to disrupt people's lives. Okay? So that's all I got to say about that. Now, the last thing and the most important thing, we are in an election year, and President Trump is about to be crowned dictator again. Folks, this is a fact. I've been saying this since the onset of Red Star Report when we started doing this show back 2 years ago, whatnot. I said it, folks. White supremacy is what runs this country, and now only we're finding out. Now only the FBI puts them as the top domestic threat, terror threat. Folks, look at the situation that we're in. Regardless if Joe Biden wins by 20 million votes, Trump and his mob are going to take it. Period. End of story. Period. End of story. You've got a third of the military. I want to say half, but let's say third, that are white supremacists. Don't believe me? Google it up. That's why we have the current Secretary of Defense who's in the hospital right now. He's a black man. Unfortunately, he's in the hospital all the time. He was supposed to effect some sort of change to get this white supremacy out of the military. He isn't going to do shit. But you've got let's just say a third of the military is white supremacists. I mean, they took a poll of minorities in the military, and 60% of them reported seeing some sort of white supremacy in the military. That whether it being swastikas or derogatory terms, they've seen it. So let's just say a third of the military, Trumpers, right? Then you have half of Congress, half of the House of Representatives, half of the Senate, Trump. Then you have the Supreme Court, Trump. You have the military, the Congress, and the Supreme Court. Folks, it doesn't matter how much you vote. It doesn't matter how much Joe Biden wins for. Guess what? There's going to be a mob. Because they don't believe in voting. You believe in voting now? You're about to make Joe Biden win by, 30 million votes? And it not count. You've got a quarter of Americans right now who don't believe in voting. Yeah, it's misguided. They think it was faulty or whatnot, these Trumpers, but they don't believe in voting. So that's what you got coming up. I hope you're ready. I hope you're ready. It's going to be a violent November election season. I will guarantee you that. So sit at home, Cali. We do our part as usual. Every election season, we vote. We do our part. We carry the country through on the blue. Unfortunately, look at where it's gotten us. So hopefully this will affect the change that's needed for an independent California to realize herself. That's all I got. Hal, back to you.
Thank you, Shankar. Yeah, that's been a problem with modern protests for most of the 21st century. America's corporate and political owners have such a strong grip on the levers of power that public opinion is easily ignored for shareholder profits, leaving most traditional forms of peaceful demonstration as nothing but feel-good symbolic gestures. With the primaries well underway and national conventions looming, it looks almost unstoppable that Donald Trump will be the Republican choice for president. Last weekend, America's former and all too likely future fearless Führer spoke for an hour and a half at the CAGOP convention in Anaheim. Luckily for you, our latest edition of Edited to Conclusion only shows 4 minutes, where he actually lays out how he feels and what he wants to do about California.
For generations, California was known as the embodiment of the America West, American culture, and America's future and our great American dream. But the far-left communists in Sacramento, San Francisco, and LA, cities which are absolutely being destroyed rapidly on a daily basis, have given you sanctuary cities, wide-open borders, mass homeless encampments, out-of-control taxes, soaring income, inequality, Marxist district attorneys, woke tech tyrants, rolling blackouts, child sexual mutilation, and roving bands of looters, criminals, and thugs. The mission to help you liberate California from communist rule begins at noon on Inauguration Day, 2025. Together we will take on the ultra-left-wing liars, losers, creeps, perverts, and freaks who are devouring the future of this state like a swarm of locusts. Together we will reverse the decline of America, and we will end the desecration of your once great state, California. California has imposed the most ridiculous car regulations anywhere in the world, with mandates to move to all-electric cars. Under a Trump administration, gasoline-fired engines will be allowed. We will drill, baby, drill. Under the Trump administration, we will bring back law and order to California. And we will immediately stop all of the pillaging and theft. Very simply, if you rob a store, you can fully expect to be shot. To stop the far-left prosecutors who are deliberately destroying our civilization and our culture, I will direct a completely overhauled DOJ to investigate every radical DA and AG in America for their illegal, racist, and reverse enforcement of the law. And we will start with the Marxist monsters unleashing mayhem on Los Angeles and San Francisco. Our country is being destroyed. More than half of the unsheltered homeless people in America live in communist-run California. On day one, I will sign a new executive order to cut federal funding for any school pushing critical race theory, transgender insanity, and other inappropriate racial, sexual, or political content on our children. I will not give 1 penny to any school that has a vaccine mandate or mask mandate. And I will hold the Chinese Communist Party accountable for unleashing the China virus upon the world. I will prevent World War III, and we're much closer than anyone else. Just as I did for 4 years, I will fully uphold your Second Amendment, and I will secure our elections with special emphasis and force placed on California. We will make the Silicon Valley tech tyrants answer for their illegal censorship. We are a failing nation. We are a nation in decline. Our currency is crashing and will no longer be the world standard. The USA is a mess. Our economy is crashing. Inflation is out of control. 2024 is our final battle. With you at my side, we will demolish the deep state. We will expel the warmongers. We will drive out the globalists. We will cast out the communists, Marxists, and we will throw off the sick political class that hates our country. We will rout the fake news media, and we will finish the job once and for all. And I make this promise to you, the great people of California. We will put America first, and we will make America great again.
For those of you wondering, the answer is yes. I listened to the whole speech, so you don't have to for that segment. And you're welcome. Time for talking points. This is Talking Points, and with everything that's been going on in America for the last 8 months, and probably what will be the most divisive and bitter U.S. election in living memory just over the horizon, the first NewCalExit question we probably need to get out of the way is a subject that has hit the public zeitgeist hard enough to be made into a new dystopian movie. So, what's CalExit going to do if or when there's a civil war? Okay, just about everyone has seen trailers for the new A24 movie Civil War. It's all over the internet, but really, California joining up with Texas to save America from a third-term Trumpy-style dictator? Yeah, no. Look, there's no doubt that the socio-political divisions in America are getting wider when, even as we speak, red states and blue states are countermanding each other's state laws, federal laws, and even the U.S. Constitution. And now, red state Republican congressional members openly talk about Civil War 2.0, and there are parallels. In the 1860s, the cause of the first Civil War was slavery, but even in a country that had the nerve to declare that all men are created equal and then fight to own men, the actual constitutional question that led to the war itself was, did the South have the states' right to nullify federal anti-slavery laws. Laws Southern politicians argued that were being made by Northern outsiders who had no God-given right to force their will onto the people of the Southern slave states. So, the South seceded, America fought a civil war, and the Union won, sort of. Today, in an irrevocably divided states of America, both red and blue states can be accused of asserting states' rights and nullifying federal law. The Texas National Guard installed razor wire along the Rio Grande to block federal border patrol agents and to deny would-be refugees their right to seek asylum, while California has sanctuary cities that deny federal ICE officials access to local law enforcement. On another front of the impending Civil War 2.0, legislators and healthcare professionals in blue states like California have mobilized to help women in states that ban abortion, while Texas and other red states have outlawed the right to travel to keep women bottled up, have authorized the prosecution of people who help minors travel out of the state to get an abortion. And seriously reminiscent of the old fugitive slave laws of the 1850s, several red states are acting as if they have the right to post bounties and pursue women and healthcare professionals into blue states to be dragged back across state lines to red states for prosecution. So, all in themselves, eerily similar to pre-Civil War events and issues. So, what's CalExit going to do if or when there is a civil war? Well, the obvious answer is we will be on California's side and work as we are now for California's independence in a peaceful and legal manner. So no, we would not promote joining with Texas to save an America that couldn't be saved in the first place. Look around. Currently, the major media is trying to downplay everything that is happening as nothing but a culture war as they try to preserve the status quo, but the reality is that red states and blue states are already engaged in a cold civil war, a socio-political struggle in a divided country where the fights are mostly being fought in social and network media, the ballot box, and in state legislatures, and either promote or protect political ideals. But right now, either escalation or de-escalation are both in play. And to be honest, yes, for the California independence movement, the never-ending national division does illustrate and drives what we as Californians see as the obvious need for a free and independent nation. Because the undeniable reality is that given the overall political arc of the 21st century, the total dominance of Christo conservative America over the U.S. federal government is both inevitable and will be intolerable to Californians. So, what's this new CalExit going to do if or when there's a civil war? And the basic answer is if America's current divisions escalate into a form of civil war, the California independence movement will do exactly what it's doing now. It will work for a free and independent California republic. It will be a staunch supporter of the California values of democracy, diversity, equity, environmentalism, inclusion, justice, and progress. And it will continue to be a rallying point and voice for a growing California resistance against American Christo-fascism's efforts to force Californians to conform to the dictates of a devolving USA. But, as always, the California independence movement will remain dedicated to peaceful and legal solutions. By the way, that does not mean we will not promote the exercise of reasonable precautions in uncertain times or back down from the argument for safety's sake. Californians are not sheep. So what's this new CalExit going to do if and when there is a civil war? Depends on what the future holds. But depending on what the desired outcome is, this Californian says Americans who want to preserve the status quo or even indulge in a fascist future should be careful what they wish for. Because, unlike the old Confederacy, as it sits right now, the California nation-state with 40 million people and the fifth largest economy in the world doesn't need America for anything, really, and could easily stand on its own as a country. So, almost any kind of shooting Civil War 2.0 that would attempt to subjugate or oppress Californians would mean that a free and independent California Republic becomes inevitable. This is Talking Points. Okay, that's podcast number 1 for the 2024 season. For more Red Star Report information, check out our website at redstarreport.com. Please subscribe to our Red Star Report YouTube channel. Go to our Red Star Report Facebook page, Twitter page, and Instagram page, and give us a like and follow, because if you want to support the real California independence movement's hashtag NewCalExit Media Group, it's all about the algorithms. And seriously, click that link below and pledge support for our friends at listener-supported radio KPFK 90.7 FM Los Angeles. KPFK deserves your support too. Our thanks to all our Red Star Rebels for watching. We are Red Star Report.